It's 1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com. This guy right here is a former soccer player. I know that, Cantor, because I saw his new commercial. And I tell you what, the working as a team helped him create the empire that he has right now, dude. Way to go, Paul. How you doing, Paul? Paul from Martin Harding Mazzotti.
Is that a true story?
Yeah, it's funny. I was Shelmont High School, played soccer, and we're exploiting my soccer, trying to, I guess, on the commercials. But interestingly enough, they asked me to speak at the soccer banquet for Shelmont varsity soccer last week.
There you go.
And I went, because they had seen the commercial, but apparently only a few people saw the commercial, because when I got there, it was pretty much people trying to figure out who I was and why I was there. So it was one of those quiet moments. Yeah,
they probably didn't recognize you because you had an afro in the yearbook.
I had a lot of hair. I did back then. Yeah,
and now you don't so much.
Oh, I gotta see it.
I was enjoying it.
Is it on YouTube? Where can I see it?
I gotta go find it for him. Let's talk about free speech here for a sec.
Yeah, Quinn's been actually following this story. This is a guy who claims he was kidding when he posted these violent rap lyrics on Facebook about murdering his wife and shooting up a kindergarten class and attacking an FBI agent. But his wife didn't think he was kidding, and neither did a federal jury. So how did this actually play out, Paul?
Well, there's had one of these cases where the technology is kind of ahead of the law a little bit. But as a general rule, threats are never going to be free speech, never going to be protected if they're true threats. The question here was whether or not these threats were true threats, or whether or not it was just sort of him literary license or venting, as the website disclaimer said. On his Facebook, it said, hey, I don't really mean this. I'm just sort of saying these things. But if you read through some of the things he said, they're super graphic and super detailed and super directed at his ex-wife.
But, Paul, this is, and I don't know, maybe you believe differently, but I like to think that, most of the music we play on this station, most of the music that's out there that has any soul and heart and depth to it comes from real life experience. And that right there is where it gets scary or hairy or however you want to call it. You've got the legal line abutting the line of how we feel and our expression, and we can't even begin to diddle with that. You know what I mean? You can't screw around with that. And this is what it sounds to me what's happening.
Yeah, but you can write a fictional story in which you murder 1 million people as long as it's not directed at somebody, right?
I think his really undoing came when the federal agent came to his house. And after the federal agent left the house, he then went on his Facebook and said what damage he was going to cause to the actual federal agent who came to his house to try to stop these things. And I think the spiral began right about there.
Guy sounds like a jerk, but that doesn't make him guilty.
The world's full of jerks. Had he got onto his front porch and started spouting the same sort of stuff, would he have been equally as liable?
Yeah, see if he has a guitar in his hand and he's singing those songs, and they're just said randomly. And that's why the Supreme Court has thousands of cases. Again, U.S. Supreme Court has thousands and tens of thousands of cases that are presented to them each year, and they only take a handful. So when they take one, get ready. So they're ready to make a statement here, and I do think that the First Amendment always first and foremost in their mind. But again, protecting domestic violence and protecting families, and do they have the ability to stop him from saying these things? Versus, was this a prelude to him executing on his lyrics?
I'm uncomfortable with this even being a discussion in this country right now. It's just you look back to the old punk scene of the 70s and early 80s. I mean, the violence and it was part of the artistry of it. So it's really frightening.
I think there's a proximity issue. At one point they went in and he went in front of family court and he lost some custody of his kids. That day, I take it back, got a protective order against. She got a protective order against him, and then that day he posts, "Hey, the protective order, you can put it in your pocket, but it doesn't stop a bullet."
Real quickly here, the guy is convicted, so we broke a federal law. What happens to him?
Well, he got 4 years in jail. Yeah, you break the federal laws, things go downhill very quickly, much more serious than the state laws, and the sentences are usually longer. So at this point, the Supreme Court's going to make this decision. He could be exonerated, set free, or he'll serve out nearly 4 years for making these statements. And so it really has brought about a lot of energy, and I can hear it just in your voices because, sure, you don't want the inability to kind of stop this kind of creative flow. But now you got Ray Rice on the forefront. You've got domestic violence.
If I go home and I paint a painting that depicts a larger, maybe more rounder fella stabbing a more slim guy with a California Republic ball cap on with a big butcher knife,
that's fine. But if you mail it to me,
yes,
I might interpret that as
what
a threat.
if I post it on Facebook and you see it?
Yeah, it'd be, but did you guys just have a major falling out? Was there other context around this? I mean, if you did it, people would laugh and think it was kind of fun and part of the routine.
But even if I did, I want to be able to express maybe that's how I heal. Maybe that's what I'm not saying this guy isn't the a-hole that he is. But now the Supreme Court's involved. Now precedent can be had, I guess. That's what's scary about it.
Well, I think we should follow up on this because it will have ramifications.
I would run you over, Cantor. I wouldn't stab you. Too messy. Too messy.
Well, I would agree with that.
Yeah, right. You don't want to. Messy.
Yeah, you want to make it look like
messy.
An accident.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Paul Harding from Martin Harding and Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010 and 1-800-LAW-1010.com. Good topic this morning. Thanks, Paul.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Quinn and Cantera, mornings on PYX 106.